You, me, our friends, and our parents, we all live in constant fear, sometimes without even realizing it. Fear is a powerful force that lives inside you and governs your every action, whether you like it or not. We feel it the strongest when we meet something that scares us. A stranger in a dark alley right behind you. A loud noise out of nowhere in complete silence. A frantic honk of a car when you're crossing the street. But the real fear is much deeper and more insidious than that. You might remember a time when you were waiting, beside yourself, for the results of the final test on the subject you never really understood. You go about your day as usual, but somewhere in the back of your skull, there's a feeling that gnaws on you, whispering that you failed, you're a disgrace, a loser. And when the results are finally announced, no matter what they are, you feel a rush of relief. There are lots of types of fear. The instinctive animal one is the most basic. The fear for your life and the fear of pain are given to us as a means of self-preservation. Like fear of heights. You look down from the top of a high-rise building and your head is spinning because you don't want to fall. You're scared. Fear resides in our deepest and darkest self. It was born because it helped our earliest ancestors survive. Now it's become something we have to overcome every single day. We give it different names, trying to hide its true nature. But what we call stress or anxiety is nothing but fear in its purest form. Even from the point of physiology, fear of immediate danger and pressure of stress are caused by the same hormones, adrenaline and cortisol. They give you a boost of energy to overcome a threat, but when they're in the game for too long, they quickly turn from friends to enemies, messing with your heart, blood, and sugar levels.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Talk to Me Tuesday. I'm your host, Sweet Pea. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching with me again for another Talk to Me Tuesday episode. So thank you guys. Make sure you show some love and share. Sharing is caring, okay? Somebody may be interested in what you are watching as well. So I am back with another episode. I know that I have been away for a little bit, but I want to make sure that when I come back to you guys, I'm always bringing something that is helpful and a way for us to be able to push forward. Because if you have been watching with me, that I love to say, if we know better, we'll do better. And I like to also talk about things that I can relate to as a means to maybe help someone else along the way of their journey as well. So in the beginning of the video, it was showing a video called Fear. And if you would like to watch the rest of that video, it's a full about 9-minute video. You can watch that on Brightside's YouTube channel. So shout out to them for the clip about fear. It gives you a background about what fear means and how it affects your body and all those good things like that, because it's good to know, the word is big. Okay. Fear is a big word. It can be used in a lot of terms, scared, scary, things like that. But it's good to know how it actually affects your body and the things that it can do health wise. So let's get into it. Fear shows up in many forms, as we all know. As a child, it can be fear of the dark. It can be afraid of a dog or barking, things like that. It can be maybe it's your first time at a theme park and you're about to get on that ride and it looks really big and really long and really scary, and it makes you afraid. And the side effects of that, or the things that you can feel with this word, is that heart racing, sweaty palms, shaky. I know even dealing with my kids, tears show up. So it can just affect you physically as well as what goes on in your mental. So that's what I really want to get into, is how this word, fear, can affect you mentally and how it can stop your progress and stop your growth if that fear turns into an imagined fear or it becomes bigger than something that you can control. So I, as a child, I was afraid of dogs. I got this dog when I was about 8 or something like that. My dad calls me and he's like, I got a surprise for you, right? So I'm so excited, I'm pumped. We go to his house and this little puppy comes out. And it's so cute. It's like hopping all over the place. And I'm in love. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get back because it was early in the morning. It was before school. So I'm like, I can't wait to get back home so that I can play with this dog, my new puppy. His name was Mocan because he came from Missouri to Kansas. So his name was Mocan. And I was just so excited that I was going to get the chance to play with my new puppy. Fast forward a couple of months, since I was with my mother majority of the time, I had not seen my dad in a couple of months. So I go over there and I'm thinking in my head, my little child mind, that this puppy is going to be small like I saw it. But that is not what happened. We go inside and there's this huge, to me, huge dog. And it remembered me, is what my dad said. But it jumps on me. It's like scratching all on my stomach and stuff like that. And it's barking, excited, and I freaked. I jump on the couch. I'm terrified. I remember I probably screamed and all these other things, and dad's like, calm down. The dog just knows you. And all these, I don't know about that when I'm that age. That's my first encounter with a dog. However, this memory of this dog has now been imprinted into my mind. And now every dog is like that. Every dog is ready to attack me. I also had this stage fright thing where if I was put on stage, I would freak out. I was singing for my 5th grade graduation, and it was okay when it was a group of us. It didn't affect me as much because I saw the other people singing and things like that. But when it was time for me to do a solo, I literally was stuck. I could not speak or say anything, and I was frozen. And I literally ran off stage in tears. Okay, embarrassing, but that's just at the time how fear affected me. So psychology teaches us that fear is a way to protect yourself. It also said in the video that fear was created as a way to let you know if you are about to be in any kind of hurt, harm, or danger. So it gives you a warning like, hey, you don't want to do that, or some things start happening and your body lets you know you may need to get out of this situation. So fear was created in a sense to protect us. But what I want to get into is what happens when that fear has become something that is not real and it's something that controls your life. So for my people out there that are tuned in and are listening, and the people that watch it back, I would like to know for the first time, how does fear show up in your life? What does fear what does fear mean to you? When you heard it as a child, when you hear it now in a conversation, what does it mean to you? Because it can mean a lot of things. It can mean that you're scared. It can mean that you are a fearful person. There are a lot of different things, but what does fear mean to you? For me, I grew up with a mother who was, as some would say, was fearful. We did not sleep with the lights all the way off. There was a nightlight. We did not talk on the phone if there were thunderstorms. She didn't even unplug things because she had a fear of being electrocuted. She would call me in there to unplug, the TV or something like that, whatever was plugged up. She would call me to come do it. I used to get mad about that. I'm like, hey, you're older than me. If something does happen, I do get electrocuted. Take me out. And you've been here longer than me. But, anyway, so I always did it because that's my mom and I always looked out for her. But she was afraid of dogs. She was afraid of noises, like, any kind of loud noises or things like that, any kind of bumps, whatever, she was jumping. So we lived in Kansas. And my grandparents moved to Missouri, and they were saying, hey, it's a lot more opportunity for you just across the river, about 15 minutes max, probably. Saying, hey, it's better opportunity, better space for you and Corinne, come move. And she was fearful of that as well. She didn't want to leave her hometown. She didn't want to leave the place that she knew. And even coming to visit me here in Florida, there was a fear of flying that she had. And even to the smallest thing in Florida, we have lizards. And just walking down the sidewalk and the lizards coming back and forth freaked her out. She was fearful of that as well. Some would say that her fear is irrational. I heard that a lot in my life, that my mom was fearful, that she was a fearful person. But if you go deeper behind that, there was always something behind it. She lost her mother, my grandmother, at a young age. She was only 6 when her mother passed away. So that right there in itself caused a huge amount of fear in her, because at the time she didn't even know why my grandmother had passed. And also, she lived with people who would put fear in her. They would always make her watch scary movies. They would make her watch scary movies in the dark, and also jump up to scare her, throw things to scare her, and things like that. So her fear may have been irrational to some people. However, it makes sense when you hear the background. So I would like to know, as well as, what does fear mean to you? How does fear show up in your life? Is there an instance that you can think about that fear has brought itself up, or is there a time that you can think about where you have been presented with fear? Make sure you guys comment down below and join the conversation. So, with me, as I got older, a lot of my mother's fears, they did, kind of manifest themselves in a way in my life as well. I remember just walking down the street trying to do my little exercise, and I would hear barking, and I would immediately, like, my heart would just start bumping, like boom, boom, boom. Oh my God, I'm scared. I'm looking around like, okay, where's the dog at? How close is it to me? Do I need to run? I would even walk around with a huge stick. And that was something my mom suggested, but that's also the fear of that something may happen and I may need to protect myself. So I would walk around with a stick just in case a wild dog would come and attack, which some people may be like, there are not just random dogs walking around, Corinne. Come on, But to me, it was something that I felt like I needed to protect myself from. So fear can also present itself in imagined dangers. And that's when you start dealing with anxiety and stress, and you start creating things in your mind. What could happen if this? If I go to that, if I walk down that street, it's a little bit dark, something could happen. If I go to this concert or to this play or to this movie, there's a lot of things that happen on the news. It may make you fearful to go to these places. With COVID going on, a lot of fears can present themselves where you're afraid of even leaving the house, because what if I get COVID? What if I interact with somebody and later find out that they had COVID? So a lot of times, with the things that go on around you, it can affect you as well. And that's when we get those panic attacks, and that's when we get that over amount of stress where your blood is high. You have high blood pressure. You have, like it said in the video, it said that it can affect your sugar levels at this point. I know for me, there was a time when I had about, I think it was only my third kid. I had my daughter, my youngest daughter, and things were changing. Things were changing very quickly. Jobs were changing. A lot was going on in my life, and out of nowhere, I was cooking one day, and I'm making regular dinner like I did every other day, but this day I had an overwhelming feeling that doom was coming. That it was it for me. I was out of here. I was lightheaded. My heart was beating like crazy. I was sweating. I was starting to feel dizzy, and literally my thoughts at this moment were, that's it, you're out of here, you're dying, something bad is happening. It was like a rush of thoughts. I later found out that that was my first experience of a panic attack. And I dealt with these throughout the couple of months, and actually probably maybe for a full solid year. I dealt with random panic attacks, and at first I didn't know what was going on. I literally thought I was out of here. But that is how me thinking of the future way in advance before it even happened, and me trying to plan for things that weren't even happening yet, not dealing with today, I'm all the way in next week, was causing me to have these anxiety and panic attacks. So that's another way that fear can manifest itself in your life and can cause you to literally be broken. I didn't want to deal with anything. I was kind of just stuck in that feeling for a while. So that's another way where fear can kind of halt your progress and halt your growth. Um, Things that can cause fear to pop up in your life: moving from your hometown, moving out of your parents' house. That's something that can halt your growth. It can cause you to have unnecessary thoughts of fears and things like that. Going after a dream or a goal. You want to quit your job and start your own business. Oh my God, am I going to be able to do that? Am I going to be able to handle that? What about my bills? What about my insurance? What about this? What about my house? Things like that. That is fear that can come up if you're trying out for a team. Even with dealing with my children, I have a middle schooler, elementary school, and things like that. Fear can pop up when you want to try out for that team. Am I going to make it? Am I going to be good enough? Should I even try out? What if I don't get on the team? It can come to a point where you cannot move forward because you are stuck in the fear. Also, if you have a crush, asking your crush out on a date or even speaking to your crush, these are things that can stop you, and the fear can present itself. It's meant to be a way to protect yourself from harm. But if it's popping up and preventing you from being able to even talk to a person, then that's when it's time to look into it and say, is this more than a normal fear, a rational fear? Rational fear is I'm just like the video was saying, like I'm looking over the hill. It's all the way up. I may fall. That is a rational fear. But there's a person that you're interested in and you want to talk to, and you're afraid to even speak to that person. That is irrational. That is not a rational fear. Unless this person has caused you some hurt or harm, or put you in danger in some way, that is an irrational fear. You want to try out for that audition and take that audition and go for that show, but you're not able to because you're afraid that you may not get picked. That's an irrational fear. You haven't even given yourself the chance to have them say yes or no. So I dealt with this in a sense, where I had to kind of put myself out there. And there were times when fear would pop up and stop me. I didn't try out for teams in high school. And a lot of it was I made excuses, but I was fearful that I would not be good enough. So in my way, instead of facing those fears, I was like, no, they're not going to pick me anyway. I'm not even going to try out. So I didn't even face those fears. So that brings me to my next question: is what does face your fears mean to you? What does it mean to you in your terms? Not what other people have told you, but in your terms, what does face your fear mean to you? When I moved into my first apartment, I was 18, and I was very proud to be grown. Okay. I was like, I'm an adult out here. I'm paying my own bills. I got my own place. And it was all good until the night came and I was alone. My mother and grandmother helped me move all my stuff. We spent the whole night setting everything up so that it would feel like home. And then they left. And I was, bye. Yes, I'm gonna get my stuff ready. I'm ready to, chill out after moving. I'm excited. I'm in my own place. I had a cat. Her name was Diva, so she did offer some company. However, it was real quiet and it was real dark and I was real alone. So, those thoughts start coming. What was that noise? What if somebody comes? What if somebody knocks? What if somebody breaks in? Like all these things just start popping up. But I did not want to, go back home. Of course, I didn't want to like crawl back to mommy. So I had to, in a sense, face my fears. And what I did at that time, it was I got night lights and things like that. I turned the bathroom light on until I felt comfortable. I left the TV on and things like that to keep me where I was hearing noise or whatever until I got comfortable enough to just shut it down. I was like, I got to a point where I was like, look, I'm going to be able to sleep in this apartment that I chose by myself, and I'm not going to be afraid. So I gradually worked myself up to where I could sleep with all the lights off. And, to some people, it may seem like, what? That's crazy. But again, if you think about where I came from, in my household with my mother, we did not turn all the lights off. That's not something that I ever experienced. We always had some form of light on as a means to be able to see. It was never just completely pitch black. I also, I wanted to overcome that embarrassing emotion that had me crying when I was on stage when I was younger. So I wanted to go out and try modeling, but I knew that I had this fear, this like stage fright thing. At the time, I didn't know it was called stage fright. But that popped up, and I'm like, how am I going to get in front of all these people and model if I freak out and run when eyes are on me? How am I going to be able to do that? I was able to practice in a sense when you have to try out for the show, and I just did it. I just got up there and walked in front of the judges, and I was picked. It worked out that way. But of course, before I even crossed the stage, the fear started trying to mess with me again, with the thoughts of like, you're not going to do it. You're not going to make it. What if you fall because you're wearing heels? What if you slip? What if you embarrass yourself? Don't do it. Turn, run. All of these things popped up into my head, but I was so determined to walk in that show that I literally came out of myself and grabbed and pushed myself out there. I was determined to walk in that show. And just being able to fight that feeling and go out there each time and talk myself into it and be positive, it helps me to outgrow the stage fright thing. So I don't have that anymore. And I'm able to even come on here and talk to you guys and do these Talk to Me Tuesday podcasts live on Facebook and now also live on YouTube. It's my first time doing YouTube, so you all are able to watch me on YouTube as well. Talk to Me Tuesday, and we're also going to be you can listen back on this on Anchor. But yes, after being able to get on that stage and fight through that, I was able to do the podcast with you guys and not have that fear, not be up here shaking and nervous and not able to speak. And also taking the time to the biggest jump and the biggest leap that I did was I moved to Florida. I'm not from Florida, and I had not visited Florida before when I first moved here. It was my first time even being out of the state of Missouri, Kansas, Missouri, both of them. It was my first time, and I moved to a whole nother state. So just jumping was a way for me to face my fear. If you look, psychology teaches us that a way to face your fears is one, through exposure. So constantly exposing yourself to the thing that makes you fearful, or the thing that brings that thought into your mind of like, I'm afraid, or causes you to have those fearful feelings, is that you keep exposing yourself to it. Another way to face your fears is to just jump. You just cold turkey it, put yourself into the situation or into the thing that makes you fearful. So whatever works best for you, it's facing your fears, is finding the root cause of what is it that is making you fearful. Is it something from your childhood that's causing you to have this fear? If it's not from trauma, if it's not from a rational place, then that's when you need to start questioning, is this something that I need to force myself to overcome? Or is it something that I need to fight for? So I like to challenge my listeners out there and the people tuning in that if there is something that causes you fear, or if it's something that's holding you back because of the what if, because that's what fear is. It's what if. If it's something that is popping up and it's what if I'm not able to make it? What if I step out and I fail? What if I do this thing and something bad happens? If it's not directly putting yourself in harm, I challenge you to fight that. And I challenge you to take steps forward to teach your brain that it's not real and that I can do this thing that I want to do. Fill out that job application. Go to that audition. Visit the state you always wanted to move to or visit. Take that vacation to that place that you wanted to go. If fear is stopping you, I say go forward. So don't be afraid to also, if it's something you cannot fight, if it's something that you cannot yourself handle, don't be afraid to seek counseling or go outside of yourself and ask for help with this thing. That is the only way that you're going to be able to overcome. And I promise you, when you overcome that thing that makes you afraid or makes you fearful, you will feel amazing. Being able to walk in the shows that I walked in while I was modeling, it was I was on cloud nine. I was so happy that I was able to overcome that voice in my head that was telling me that I needed to be afraid. And now, even walking and exercising, I don't have the fearful feeling of a dog barking or something like that. I'm able to freely walk and enjoy nature and all these things that God has blessed us with. I'm able to enjoy it and not have that fear controlling me. So that is that's for that first series of the Face Your Fears. I will definitely be coming back next week on Tuesday for part two of the series, where we're going to be talking about the fear of success versus the fear of failure. So make sure you guys tune in and watch with me next week for that. If you have any comments, make sure you drop them down below. Show some love and share. Sharing is caring. I will talk to you guys next Tuesday as we get into that second part of it. Thank you again for watching with me as I bring you these different topics and things to talk about. Again, if there's something that you want to talk about and that you want my input on, send me a message. You can email me at talktometuesdaypodcast@gmail.com. You can listen to old episodes of Talk to Me Tuesday all the way back from when I first started in 2018, and you can catch up today on the Anchor app. It's anchor.fm/T2MET, hashtag T2MET. So thank you guys again for tuning in and watching. I will talk to you guys next week.